our businesses, no matter what type of businesses, we go through different periods of time. Sometimes we're in spring, some people are in a winter,
Right.
some people are in the summer. So just recognize where you're at right now, but use that time to grow yourself. Meaning, if you need to go to, listen to different podcasts, or educate yourself. I wholeheartedly believe in going to seminars and different conferences, not just for my business, but for personal development, for example. So that way I can expand and grow myself. Therefore, I can also grow my business.
This is Small Business Celebration, where we introduce you to successful small business owners at their place of business so that you can learn something that you can use today to grow a strong and profitable business and get your next big breakthrough. I talk to business owners all the time about systems and processes and talking about reinvesting back into your business, but do they listen? I mean, really, it's like they're dead inside or something.
Michael, did you hear me call?
What?
It's time for the show.
Welcome to another fantastic episode here on Small Business Celebration. We're going to be talking about how much and when do you invest in new technology. We're also going to be talking about what is the best method for writing down your systems and processes, especially if this is your first time doing it. And to guide us through all this is Dr. Carlos Rangel, the owner of Rangel Chiropractic. Welcome to Small Business Celebration.
Well, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
And for Visioneers who don't know who are you and what is it that you do?
Dr. Carlos Rangel, I've been in practice 24 years, and I've been serving the east side of the community, but we typically have patients from all over Kern County.
Very briefly, describe all the pain and torture, all the great adjustments that you give to patients.
The most common things that they will come in for is back pain or neck pain,
Right.
headaches, and a lot of different types of injuries.
How frequently should somebody come in and see you, whether they've been in an accident or they have scoliosis, that's a lifetime scenario? How often is generally you want to have a patient come in?
It all depends on their type of injury. If it's an actual injury, a lot of times those patients will require a lot more care up front till we get them back in alignment. And then once we've eliminated the pain and we've aligned their spine again, then they typically won't need to come in till maybe once a month, maybe once every couple of months, depending on their activity level.
There's been quite a few people that have been asking about sacroiliac, how do you pronounce this?
Oh, sacroiliac?
Exactly. Good thing you're a chiropractor, What is this and why is this such a concern to so many people?
Given everything that's going on in the world, a lot of people are pretty stressed. Stress is the number one thing. If you were to look it up, it's one of the number one things that creates a lot of misalignments in your spine.
Really? And where is it? Where is it on the body? And what are the symptoms?
Okay, so the sacroiliac region is that part of that we call the pelvis.
Okay.
It's part of the pelvis. It's where your spine meets your pelvis. It's in that area.
Okay.
And it typically can misalign with just even stress or sometimes trauma, meaning they've been in some type of accident or injury. A fall
Right.
also could create that.
Is this something that can occur because people are spending too much time at a desk?
Absolutely. Typically, a lot of people are sitting in the wrong type of chair.
Right.
That's not really built for their spine. So they can get and develop over time
Right.
where the pelvis becomes locked up and then it starts creating the pain. So it's our job to get it moving again properly.
You've been doing this for how many years?
24 years now.
So you're just getting started.
I'm just getting started.
Why did you get into chiropractic medicine and what were you doing before?
I was originally in the X-ray technology field.
Okay.
So I was an X-ray tech.
Right.
And I became a doctor of chiropractic shortly thereafter. And what caused me is my father was injured. We took him to go see a chiropractor and he got him back to work. And I said, wow, there's something about this, and it really intrigued me, and I wanted to learn more about it, and I did.
Right.
And I started researching, and it lined up with my values because I have always believed in, and more importantly, keeping yourself healthy. I'm not the type of person that does not believe in medicine. I wholeheartedly believe it has its place. However, I also believe in preventative care and illness in the first place.
What is preventative chiropractic care?
we're living human beings. So because of that, we're exposed to stress and on a daily basis. Or we're putting ourselves in different positions, maybe bad posture. Maybe our work environment, like we discussed earlier, with maybe there's not the right chair you're sitting in.
Right.
And because of that, all of a sudden, now you're misaligning your spine. Typically, a patient will come in and get readjusted, so that way we keep them in line to prevent that condition going on to a full-blown, oh my God, doctor, I cannot move my back. I can't get out of bed.
Right.
Or all I was doing was reaching over and all of a sudden I got stuck.
Right.
And that happens to a lot of people. And because of that, those are the misalignments that have been accumulating over time. And they didn't do maintenance care or wellness care, as we call it in our industry.
Why did you choose this location here in East Bakersfield?
We've always been on Nile Street.
Right.
And all we did was, back then, we had a small office and we grew so much that I said, okay, well, we need a bigger facility and we needed to have our own parking.
Right.
This building became available and so we purchased it.
But why this part of town?
We serve a lot of the surrounding community. It's very, as you can see, it's very easily accessible for people coming in from all different parts of Bakersfield. Our freeways are not too far from here. We have 58 freeway, we have the 178 up here,
Right.
and then we have Niles that will take you to downtown. It was just a centralized area for us as Bakersfield has grown quite a bit.
So if you've been a patient of Dr. Rangel and he's made you feel really good, and because of that your business has improved, perhaps it's time to buy a new house. Reach out to Mike Saba, a Zillow Premier Agent with Watson Realty. Born and raised in Neverlift, Bakersfield. Give Mike Saba a call at 661-203-8406 or reach him at mikesaba1@icloud.com today. And Visioneers, if you've got a question, you've got a thought, something you'd like to learn about here on Small Business Celebration, reach out to us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and your question could appear here on Small Business Celebration, just like Bree, who asked, we understand the importance of continually innovating in both our process and technology to grow our business. How do you determine where to invest and how much to allocate?
All these years of experimenting and learning, and also doing continuing education and
Right.
business as well. I've learned, and this is just a baseline, but it's worked very nice in that we always take at least 5% and reinvest that over the year. So that's 5% of your total of the year.
Okay.
And you say, okay, I'm gonna allocate that. I'm gonna just set that aside for that. And of course, we always have a list of items that we tend to
Your
put
wish
on our
list of
our
things that
wish
you-
list.
right.
However, what we always, and I highly recommend this to other people that own businesses, is that you always focus on your client. In this case, we're dealing with patients.
Right.
So focus on what their needs are.
Because when you started your business, you just had one table.
That's correct.
And you didn't have a big lot of revenue coming in, so 5% is not a lot.
And you'll be amazed on how quickly, it doesn't sound like a lot, 5%. You say, oh my gosh, that's not a lot.
Right.
But after a while, we were getting a new table or a new piece of equipment every few months. It wasn't just every, in the beginning, yes, may take a year or two, but
Right.
once you build that up, it will actually happen a lot sooner and it'll grow a lot faster.
At what point do you have enough toys or enough equipment and you say, you know, I've got enough and I'll just take the extra 5% and invest it in my family, my employees, or elsewhere?
That's not counting the other investing that you're doing on, this is strictly for your practice or your business.
Okay.
Technology is moving very rapidly. You always will be looking to see how you can add more value to your client or to your, so that's a never ending. It could be an investment in technology. It doesn't have to be an actual medical equipment.
Okay.
It could just be, okay, how can we serve our patients better? For example, now we're going to be introducing people check in with iPads and different things like that, and get us now into the 21st century where everybody pretty much knows how to work a cell phone. So now it just makes it, so that'll be our next investment now for our practice.
And that investment can also be something as, you know, we really do need to paint the office.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Because that's something that you've done here, because when you walk in to your office, you can tell that you've been keeping it up.
I'm a big Disneyland buff, okay?
Okay, sure.
Love Disneyland. You can use some of the principles. Some of those principles are there, and that is you always are working to improve patient's experience. And the patient experience it starts from outside working in. You're also looking at your parking lot and everything, your landscaping. All that has an effect on, is it presentable? A lot of times businesses don't look at it, they just worry about what's inside. But it's also very important to maintain everything as well outside. We also allocate a certain amount for just upkeep. We'll have a painter come in here and retouch up the office at least once a year. So that way, if there's any areas that need it, that's just something we automatically do. A little maintenance goes a long way, is what I'm trying to say.
What about children?
Absolutely. Children respond very well to chiropractic care because they're so plastic. And
Sure.
they're so flexible. When I
Right.
say plastic, they're so flexible.
Yeah,
right?
you tie them up in a
You
ball
can
and bounce
tie
them off the
up, yeah,
floor and they
pretty
all
much.
be fine.
They
Yeah.
can lift one leg and over their head or their neck and shoulders and no problem, right? They respond very quickly to chiropractic care. Actually, we prefer if they come in sooner than later. That way they get checked. Now, they used to check for scoliosis in our public school systems.
Right.
I'm not sure if they still do that. I'm pretty sure they don't now. As a result, they should definitely be getting checked early on. At least by first grade, they should already be seen by the chiropractor to check for that.
And speaking of injuries and Visioneers, you can see this big banner behind you. Have you been injured in an accident? Explain to Visioneer Nation how you can help them.
Most people will be involved sooner or later
Right.
in a motor vehicle collision.
Right.
And we call them car crashes because we just never know at what type of angle the impact will occur.
Right.
However, when they sustain those type of injuries, we typically as chiropractors will diagnose and detect misalignments in the spine from those accidents.
As a business owner, yes, that could happen to me as a business owner, but also to my employees. What's the process like when there is a car accident, and how does my business refer my employees to you in the event they are in a car accident?
A lot of times the first step is to obviously get checked immediately. Typically patients will go, starting point will be an ER
Right.
or an urgent care.
Right.
Once they are cleared medically that there's no severe underlying damage, then they will typically show up at our office because they're still in a lot of pain.
Right.
And there's a lot of inflammation all over their whole spine and sometimes even into the extremities, which is your arms and your legs.
Okay. And that brings us to the Visioneer Game. Now, Visioneers, if you're not familiar with the way the game works, I have a random word generator here on my phone. I have no idea what the random word the generator is going to create is, but most importantly, neither does our guest. And our guest has to take each of 3 words that I give him and somehow associate each word with his business. Now, Dr. Rangel, you do realize that the fate of the entire chiropractic industry is based on your ability to get all 3 of these words right. If you don't get them right, it's going to be utter chiropractic devastation as far as the eye can see. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, your first word is stamp.
Rangel Chiropractic has really put a stamp in our community as the go-to healthcare facility.
Very good. Well, that's 1 for 1. Well done. We're on the right track. Your second word is volunteer.
I like to volunteer, for example, going to elementary schools and teaching our youth about how to take care of their health and how to become even stronger. And they're not only taking care of their physical, but also their eating habits so that they can become very strong.
Very good. That's 2 for 2. Well done, you. Your third word is viable.
Viable. Chiropractic, especially Rangel Chiropractic, is a very viable option for your healthcare needs.
Nice. That's 3 for 3. The world of chiropractic medicine is safe at last because of you.
Yes.
Your dad, your father, was very influential in getting you involved in this profession. What happened?
So my father was injured, and this was back when he was working a very heavy lifting type job, and he threw out his lower back and misaligned his spine, and so he sought treatment with his medical doctor. His medical doctor said, well, all I can do is give you some medicine here and maybe give you an injection, and that was it. But he was still in a lot of pain. So he said, well, I got to get back to work. I can't be off that long. So he ended up going to a chiropractor, and I went with him. Just seeing him get better in just a matter of days.
Wow.
And back on his feet and back to work. I said, wow, that's something I was very inspired in talking to the doctor that helped him. That inspired me to continue to go into the field of chiropractic.
Your daughter has started her business here in the same building you're in.
Yes.
Has she been inspired to do this because she's seen you?
Yes, absolutely. So she's always been around me. And she would come into the office all the time, but she chose, as she has her own business as an esthetician, but she wanted to learn.
What's the name of her business?
Sochi Skincare.
What was your reaction when she announced to you that she was going into business for herself?
My first reaction was I was really proud. I was really proud because all those years I thought she wasn't listening, and she was really paying attention.
Sure.
So that really threw me off for a bit, but I also was very proud father.
But when she told you this, she didn't want to be a chiropractor.
No, she did not.
Why is that?
With her and also my son, I've always encouraged them. Didn't want them to feel pressured that they had to do what dad did or what mom did. And so I just said, you guys choose what you guys really enjoy. And so they both have, so that makes me really proud.
You've got a leg up on your daughter with experience, but she's got youth and ambition. How are those two worlds meshing?
It works beautifully because, as I said, I've been in practice over 24 years, and sometimes we get stuck in our ways.
Right.
And so she's allowed me now to see things from her generation's point of view. And because of that, she's actually helped me now to open up my eyes. And that's one of the reasons I'm here too as well, because she's the one to say, you can start doing this little by little. And so that's what prompted me to start looking into also social media. And it's really helped. Again, she's more of an expert on the technology part.
Right.
Because her generation, they grew up with that a lot more than my generation did.
Sure.
So that's where she helps me. She helps fill in those gaps where I'm missing.
There's a bit of controversy out there right now between running and walking and what it does to your knees, your hips, your back, and all these other things. But it seems like everybody's saying, oh, walking is just fine. Is it?
Absolutely. So running versus walking. I tell patients if they're physically able to, I prefer them to run. However, it doesn't have to be a fast run. It's almost like a very slow jogging movement. Your body actually responds that way. You don't traumatize your knees, your hips, and your back. Walking though, I highly recommend. If you're gonna do walking though, walk at a brisk pace, not a very slow pace. Not a stroll. We're talking at a brisk pace. And that way you get the full benefits of the cardiovascular, moving your body, also decreasing blood sugar levels, very important.
How do shoes affect your back?
So shoes affect your back. It's very important that you wear very well supported shoes. If you have where it's uneven or too much of an elevated shoe, for example, can cause foot problems and foot pain. And that can also translate for you developing knee pain and also work its way up to back pain.
So ladies should not wear high heels.
They should wear them if for a short while. I mean, I wouldn't recommend them wearing them like all day long, every day. There has to be some type of balance there.
And that brings us to our second Visioneer question, which is also brought to you by Mike Saba, a Zillow Premier agent with Watson Realty, selling Bakersfield homes since 1992. Give Mike Saba a call at 661-203-8406 or reach him at mikesaba1@icloud.com today. Visioneer Matt asks, after 3 years in business, we're finally starting to document our process. How do you decide where to begin, what method or format for writing things down, and what worked best for you?
So after 3 years in your business, in any business, one of the most important things are to definitely measure, because anything you measure, then you can manage. And knowing where your business is at is very important. And we like to use a scale of, okay, is it an infant? Is your business in an infant stage?
Right.
And then it goes into a toddler stage, and then it goes to the teenage stage, and then you go from there to an adult stage. Different areas, and it's very important that the business owner know exactly where they're at. But as you're going through, it's very important, just like with raising a child, you're setting up rules and you're documenting your procedures. That's very important on how you want your business to run.
How did you start doing this?
I like keeping everything simple. So all I did is just take a notepad
Yeah.
and just categorize. This is the way I want my business to run, and put them in different areas. Everybody has different key areas of focus in that business.
Okay.
Doesn't matter if it's a restaurant or if it's a hotel or a doctor's office.
Right.
You have certain areas that are very important. With those, you just start writing. Even just manually is very important, because then you're open. You're just jotting everything down, brainstorming, and from there you can organize your thoughts.
Your business has grown.
Yes.
How have you worked with each one of those employees to write down their process so that it can be followed or replicated again later?
So what we do, and this I highly recommend with any business owner, is you meet with your people, your staff, once a week. Once a week is mandatory. Like we don't miss. And it's just a mandatory meeting. And that's when we do little mini workshops, and we may implement procedures. And then they also will create their own.
Okay.
And we will review them together.
What is your method for helping these employees update the current process that has already been done and written down 15 years ago?
We're meeting once a week, but we focus on those key areas. And the way I continue to help them expand that is I'm also doing every year continuing education to help, because it's very important as a business owner to get out there and learn what are the new things coming up and how different businesses are running their business. And you can sometimes use some of that information and then start using it in your own business.
I know of a great YouTube channel for that.
There you go. There you go.
It's no secret that there's a lot of business owners that are having difficulties right now. What do you say to the business owner who's struggling and let them know that it's going to be okay?
Our businesses, no matter what type of businesses, we go through different periods of time. Sometimes we're in spring, some people are in a winter,
Right.
some people are in the summer. So just recognize where you're at right now, but use that time to grow yourself. Meaning, if you need to go to, listen to different podcasts or educate yourself. I wholeheartedly believe in going to seminars and different conferences, not just for my business, but for personal development, for example. So that way I can expand and grow myself. Therefore, I can also grow my business.
Dr. Rangel, thank you very much for joining us here on Small Business Celebration. This has been a treat.
Thank you for having me.
And if Visioneers want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
They can call us here at our office at area code 661-871-6060.
Website?
RangelChiro.com.
And after a brief message from Planned Exits, I'm going to talk about the picture I should have taken.
Private equity and national company roll-ups are beginning to be seen in Kern County. Many pest control companies and auto body repair shops have been acquired by national players. If you want to prepare your business for an opportunity of a strategic sale, please visit plannedexits.com.
The picture I should have taken. For about 2.3 seconds in my Hollywood career, I was a location scout. And one of the locations I visited was this house in Pacific Palisades because the architecture was fantastic. And when I was talking to the homeowner in his home office, I noticed on the wall he had this nondescript shadow box. And it looked like it had been built back in the 1900s. And inside the shadow box, there was this little tiny orange seed. There was this clump of mud. There was these branches, these twigs with leaves that were bound together to look like a tree, and followed by this very dried out, dehydrated orange. And for whatever reason, a couple weeks ago, I decided to give this gentleman a call and ask him how he and his family were doing. And he told me, yeah, they lost the house, they lost everything that was in it. And for some reason, I asked him about this shadow box. And he said, yeah, he had inherited it from his father, and who had gotten it from his grandfather and gotten it from his great-grandfather when they were farmers in the San Joaquin Valley. And he said, I wish I still had that. And I asked him why, and he said, because it's a theme for life. It's something to remind farmers on a regular basis that the seed is the task at hand, and that the mud is what you plant the seed into. It's the work that you have to put in so that you can reach your goal of growing the trees. And from the trees, you get the result, the fruit. And he said it was a constant reminder to him that he needed to go through the process and put in the work, to put in the task, to put in the work, to reach the goal, to get the result that he's looking for. And when I got off the phone, I was thinking, you know, I was a horrible location scout, because that shadow box is the picture I should have taken. I hope you enjoyed our conversation this week here on Small Business Celebration, and I hope you learned something that you can use to grow strong and profitable business. And we'll see you here again next week when we celebrate another small business making a big breakthrough.
There are 3 shoulder stretches, and I typically will keep them simple. I tell patients, obviously you can do the arm circles going backwards and of course forwards. That's a really good stretch, and it also is using movement, therefore increasing the movement and flexibility slowly. The other one is you can actually use your hands against the wall and climb, just kind of climb with your hands only. You're just standing there, but you're climbing, so that way you can reach all the way up over your head and get the full stretch forward. And of course, also there's a third one that I really like, and that is just putting your hands next to your head, next to the temples, and you basically squeeze your elbows together and touch them, and then just bring it open and close. And that provides a big stretch, not only for your shoulders, but for your neck as well and your upper back. The best way to take care of your back when you work a 9 to 5 is, number one, at a desk and you're on a computer all day. Absolutely, what you must do is stand up every 2 to 3 hours. It's very important to get up and stretch your lower back, and simply rotate your neck, your arms, your legs. You can do all of these different stretches. It takes a couple of minutes, and then that way you can resume your work. It's very important. Best sleep posture in order to eliminate toxins and to help you protect your spine is on your side, but build up the pillow so that you're drawing an imaginary line down your chest. So that way your pillow is built up, so that way your nose is lined up with the middle part of your chest. And that gives you the most amount of, number one, it allows your spine to rest in a manner so that you don't misalign your spine in your neck and or your lower back. It's important for you to bring your child in to see a chiropractor, because especially in infants, once they hit a few months after they've been born, is to check for misalignments. The birthing process is very traumatic. It's not always a smooth transition. So it's very important they get checked. So at least at the baseline, get checked. The 3 top reasons that you should get adjusted by your chiropractor is, number one, to realign your spine. Number 2, to increase the nerve flow going to all parts of your body. In this case, we're talking about your organs. And 3, also to increase your energy. The best way to relieve neck pain is stretches. Stretch your neck, do neck rotations, really work your neck. You can do light stretches like a yoga type movements for your neck is highly recommended. Of course, getting adjusted. I'm always going to say that, get adjusted from your chiropractor is very important. An office chair versus a standing desk, which is better? It's going to depend on the person's job, but basically I would prefer the standing desk, because then you have that ability to bring it down, and then you can sit for a while, and then obviously then you can bring it up when you need a break from sitting, and therefore you can do your stretches at the same time.